Hey guys, welcome back to the Patti Martin Real Estate Group YouTube channel and podcast. It is July the 8th. We are reviewing the stats for June 2025. I'm joined with Patti and Jennifer. How are you two?
Well,
Very
thanks.
well.
How about you?
I'm good. We had a little bit of a rebound this month, and it's kind of the market's showing signs of maybe a recovery. Would you guys say the same thing?
I think it's not enough data points to actually make that call yet. But what I would tell you is we have experienced a surge. So whether or not it's just like kind of we had one in the fall, we had one kind of in October in the fall, and this feels like as we are now like well into 2025, this feels like a big surge. Like there was a lot of activity. Phones were ringing, and it's happening.
Yeah, the first half of the market was quite turbulent. Nobody knew what to do. Make the move, don't make the move, wait, don't wait. I think more people came off the fence. It seems like things have started to stabilize, but you're right. It's just 1 month of data points. Patti, do you have any comment about this kind of surge in activity that we've seen this past month?
Well, I think we've had a very slow start to the year, and buyers are out looking very passively. And as the market kind of transitioned in terms of pricing, in terms of what there was available, I think some of the buyers decided to jump in. I agree with Jen wholeheartedly, though I wouldn't call this a recovery quite yet. I also would say that we were sitting with a fair number of listings that were well priced. And so we might have a false sense of, the numbers say that, it's up a little bit, but we have a little bit of a false sense of what's happening in the market because of that. So we've been very busy. There's no question. But I think we're a long way off from a recovery, personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we move into the sales for the month, there was 2,181 sales for June 2025. It's about a 10% decrease from last year. The interesting point here is that it's having last month's declines as well. So the drop in sales year over year from, I guess, March 2025 to 2024 and June 2025 and 2024, that number has shrank considerably. So it's noticeable how many more sales there were this year. Month over month, sales are still down about 2%. So as we're looking at sales and the kind of the increase in pace of sales, how are we coaching our buyers and sellers through this kind of surge in activity?
Jen, you take the buyers.
Me take the buyers. Okay. Darn it. I wanted to take the sellers because I think it's a more interesting conversation. Darn it. Okay. So the buyer is looking for a seller that is well educated, because even though I'm not supposed to say it, sellers are going to sell if they're well priced and if they are presenting a product that is appealing to the buyer. And these are the types of properties that I'm coaching my buyer clients to kind of take a good look at, take a second look at. Let's deep dive, let's read strata documents, or let's consider these properties. But what I am finding on the buyer side right now is the sellers are still a little slow to make their property either attractive from the beauty standpoint or the price standpoint. There's very few that have both together. And that's why, like, Patti, take it away with how you're coaching sellers right now.
Well, we've said this many times. It's a beauty contest and a price war, and you got to win both right now.
Yeah.
And so when we put something on that's well priced and looks good, we just had a townhouse in that category. It's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. And we've just done 2 in the last week with the same story. They presented very well. The sellers listened to us about pricing and understood the market. And as a result, buyers were motivated to put an offer in very quickly and very strong offers. So that's a wonderful thing. But that's not all parts of the market.
Yeah.
So in some areas of the market, Adam, we're still seeing no activity.
Yeah.
We're seeing listings that are really, we can't really figure out what price would make people move on them because we feel we're pretty competitively priced. We've had this argument the other day at our sales meeting. We were discussing a price, and we all know that everything will sell for a price, but how to get to that price without overreacting
Yes.
is very it's a very fine line, and we don't want sellers rushing to reduce prices if in fact it's really just a lack of that part of the market being desirable right now.
That's exactly right. And I think one of the things we identified was even when we made a change, so let's say we came out with a price, we didn't have much activity, and then we changed the price, it was taking a good 2 weeks for the market to react. So, at first we thought, well, this is strange. Like, we made this price reduction, nothing happened. 2 weeks later, because the market is a slower moving market, gangbusters, lots of showings, finally offers, all this kind of stuff. So people have to understand that even if they make a move in this market as a seller, it's going to take time for the market to react. And one more point that I think is really interesting is we had all those successive rate cuts, and then we've had now a couple of stabilized rate cuts. And exactly what I think Patti was saying maybe last month or the month before has, I think, come true. Buyers are now used to, oh, the guy down south is going to say crazy things. Oh, who cares? Because I need to move. I've got to move. And so we see a lot of got tos taking place in this market now because they're saying, nope, I'm going to still do this. My life has to move forward. I've got a bunch of kids. I need something bigger. Or, I'm older and I'm single and I don't want to have this big house tying me down. So the got tos are making their moves.
Yeah, and it's even the want tos are coming out of the woodwork right now because we are seeing people actually, Jen says people are in bed scrolling. I believe that is true. I believe that is true because I get weird messages at about 11 o'clock at night. We see this listing, and but okay, so they're busy scrolling. They're doing the math.
People are in bed scrolling. They're looking through they finish their Netflix. They're on their iPads and they're seeing what possibilities there are.
Yeah, but the point is they're doing the math. Yeah. They're doing the math and they're looking at it. And so we've had some really wonderful families who have figured out, I might not get what I thought I was going to get for my place, but I'm making it up in the difference. Yep. I'm making it up on the buy. And so it's worth moving. And it's it's something we talk about all the time. This is a move up kind of market right now. It's the best time to move up. So that people are seeing that is not that surprising. And it's wonderful that people understand it enough. And I think that is the value of all the information that is out there that people can look at. I think that's the value. Even our conversations here help people, I think.
Yeah.
Talking about the move up market, people do have a lot of choice. And when we're talking about inventory that's newly listed on the market, there was 6,315 detached, attached apartment properties newly listed for sale on the MLS. That's 10% up compared to this time last year, and about a 13%. It's about 13% over the 10-year average for newly listed properties on the market. The other point to this one is that this is the third consecutive month where new inventory is actually starting to dwindle off. More to listings. The total number of properties on the market is now 17,561. So this is a huge number of listings. It's about 24% above last year at the same time. It's about 44% above the 10-year average, and month over month, it is up 3%. So when we're talking about listings being up and sales, while they're picking up, they are still sluggish. is this the best time in years to be a buyer in Vancouver?
Yes. Yes. When has there been a better time in the last 10 years? I personally can't think of one.
Talk to me a little bit more about the buyer's mindset of getting into the market versus like timing the market and then timing your life.
Yeah. Patty, you talk about this because you always have a lot of insight.
I was just going to say, like, I think Jen said it last month. It was last month for sure. If you are looking for a 1-bedroom apartment and you have never bought before, it is an absolute no-brainer. There's a ton of inventory. Deals are being made that are amazing in comparison to last year.
Yeah.
That is not the case, by the way, in all of the market. It's that first-time buyer coming in that is benefiting the most right now. Would you agree, Jen?
Yes, absolutely.
I would agree with that as well, because there's other policies of you're going to save a higher amount of transfer tax, and if you are buying new construction, there's a higher threshold there where you can be completely exempt of GST. So you do have quite the incentives to get into the market.
And so, and to Adam, just to your point about inventory, I just want to say I stick by my story that while there's a lot of product, there's a lot of things nobody wants to buy because it's too high a price or it's in too rough of a condition to justify the price.
I just thought it was interesting to note that when you go to the very beginning of the year in January, there was 11,500 listings, and here we are surpassing that 17,000 mark. So I'm like, okay, that's been a big surge.
The really interesting part about that, and as you know, I handle so many of the buyers for the Patti Martin Real Estate Group, is when I'm presenting offers and when I am showing why we are writing the price we're writing, a lot of agents are saying to me, oh, well, in January, this sold for this. And I say to them, listen, that's wonderful for the seller that sold in January. We're talking June, July, and it is a completely different market. So when I'm talking to them, hey, there's so much more inventory. You can't say, in the past years, when you're in a rising market or whatever, of course you can still point to these sales that took place back at the beginning of the year. Not the case. Realtors, if you're listening, it's not the same. It's not the same. So please, we're going to go off of what the last sale was, and the last sales, in lots of instances, it's 5 to 10% less than it was in January. We have seen a really big impact by all this inventory, especially in these places where we talk about these, 1-bedrooms, all these kind of things.
As we're talking about price, we don't often comment on price because when you get into averages and the neighborhoods and all that, it's all wonky. But prices are down slightly year over year. We can definitely agree to that. But they're not crashing.
No.
Okay. Is this the soft landing that everybody was kind of hoping for, anticipating?
Okay, Adam, the one thing that we're missing is that while there is a lot of inventory, it's still not a record number of inventory.
Right.
So while we have seen a really big increase, we're not oversupplied quite yet. Yeah, 1-bedroom apartments are interesting, but there's portions of the market where we have buyers that we cannot find a practical choice for them. So that's not an abundance of inventory. That's not what's happened yet. So whether that will happen remains to be seen, right? We don't know. We don't know what the world has got in store for us right now, because it's a roller coaster ride. But we do know that right now the interest rates are good, the amount of inventory is good, the prices are still remaining fairly stable. Yes, everyone has had to, if you're a seller, had to adjust to some degree, but it is not devastating, or it's not, the sky has not fallen. So carry on.
I agree. More to that point, when we're talking about the number of listings, with over 17,000 listings on the market, should sellers start to feel nervous, or is this just part of a healthy market correction? We're talking about the sky isn't falling. Should sellers begin to feel nervous? Should they slow down on putting their place on the market? Talk to me about pricing strategies and other things that we can talk to help our sellers out in this market where things do take 60, 90 days before you even get an offer.
Yeah, I really don't even like to use the word nervous when I talk about real estate. Any client that we are helping, we are fully intentional, we are educated, and we know exactly what's going on. We're truth tellers, and we let anyone that we are coming into contact with or who would like to work with us know exactly what's going on in the market. So I always say to the clients, like, let me be the one who's nervous. You should never be nervous because you're going to know exactly where you stand and we're going to talk about your goals and then we're going to meet them. Now, if the person has unrealistic goals, that's a different discussion. It's a hard one, but it's something that I do believe sets our team apart from other people. We're not going to play games. We're not going to lead you down a path that, wow, it's all wine and roses right now. No, what it is this is a market and it moves. And, as long as you know what you're doing and you are, working with a qualified mortgage professional and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be just fine. So I can't stand using the word nervous, frankly. And, Adam, the truth is that summer's coming. And Patti, what happens in the summer?
Well, normally it quiets down, but it's not seeming to do that quite yet. And we're not there. We're not quite there, but
yeah. But so anyway, so just naturally, less people will put their properties on the market.
Yes.
They're going to get carried away. They're going to do their staycations and all this kind of stuff. And so then we might see, a lot more inventory come on in the fall because, it'll slow down. But who knows? Maybe buyers will snap up some of these homes.
We've seen some good deals out there that people have picked up when we see the sales come through. So opportunity is abundant if you're ready and willing. Any other last comments?
One thing, just one sec, Adam, is that what we've noticed is even a slight price adjustment. This is how we know the buyers are still paying attention. So even a slight price adjustment seems to inspire more activity. And as Jen said, it's not fast, but it's definitely, there's definitely more interest suddenly. So we're just watching it slowly, talking to sellers. We don't rush anything. There's no emergency in real estate. We don't believe in it, but we want to always be talking about exactly what's going on and then how are our sellers going to be the ones that sell next. That's it. Because we've got to be truthful, as Jen said. This is a little grittier right now. The market is much grittier, and frankly, I like it personally because people have time to make a decision that is sound.
Yeah, and you have to be informed. And you have to be informed to make the right decision. And it sounds like we are the team to give you that information truthfully, honestly, and we don't hold it back.
Yeah,
right on, guys. We'll see you next month for the next market update. Until then, work hard, play safe, enjoy summer.
And buy real estate.
Buy real estate.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Patti.
Thank you, guys.